Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we have a very exciting review of one of the most anticipated Nanmu figures in a very long time, potentially in the entire history of Nanmu. We are taking a look at the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we actually have all three versions here to look at today. As you can see, as far as the boxes go, we have pretty much the standard Nanmu box with a beautiful image of the Tyrannosaurus here on the front, as well as the Nanmu logo there over by the tail. And then on the back, it's pretty much, again, your standard Nanmu images, information, all that fun stuff. The actual boxes themselves are pretty much the same, except the image is just mirrored. So we can now see the Rex facing the opposite direction as opposed to the direction that this one here is currently facing. So without further ado, let's go ahead, break these boxes open and get a look at these very cool looking Tyrannosaurus figures. So as soon as we open the box, we of course have a beautiful art card from Nanmu, and you can see that there is a wonderful image here of the Tyrannosaurus kind of walking up along a ledge with a really cool, very prehistoric looking background, kind of having a volcano there and some pterosaurs. So it kind of has like a really cool mixture of Jurassic Park, but also sort of that very vintage, old school look of dinosaurs, with it looking basically like a barren wasteland, and you've got the volcano and everything back there, really solidifying that very cool vintage appearance to it, but at the same time actually sort of looking like Isla Nublar, as we did have a volcano there in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So again, some very interesting sort of images here created by Nanmu, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. But as far as the interesting images go, if we look here at the back, again, super cool drawings of the Tyrannosaurus by Nanmu, and I love that they include these things. It always really reminds me of like Crash McCreary artwork with the way it's drawn, and these images here on the back are absolutely gorgeous, as they always are from Nanmu. I always love these really cool art cards. Absolutely beautiful additions to these sets. And then we actually have the human character, and there's two, because there's also a clear Tyrannosaurus Rex, so we actually have a clear human, which is a really cool little addition to the sets. I think that was a really nice, very awesome touch to have a clear human and then the normal one, and it is actually Owen Grady that we have here this time around. So I'm pretty excited about that, to have now an Owen figure included with the Nanmu line. And then we have our female like Tyrannosaurus, our male Tyrannosaurus, which I just opened his mouth because why not, and then our clear Tyrannosaurus. So quite a few Tyrannosaurus figures here with this newest Nanmu release. Super cool looking all together, and I must say that these actual painted versions are gorgeous, absolutely beautiful here at first glance. I am extremely impressed immediately, not only by the incredible amount of sculpt and detail included, but the paintwork is off the charts. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at all three of these right now. So starting with the male version, you can see that the sculpt and detail here in the head sculpt is just unbelievable, and I feel like it really shines through all over the head sculpt of the male version, the greenish version, because that lighter green really allows you to see just how beautiful the actual scales look of the figure. And they have included a really nice dark wash to make sure that those scales pop out really nicely. And on top of that, just in general, the paintwork is just unbelievably nice looking on the head sculpt of the Rex. You can see so many different kind of variations of green, some like nice darker greens, a little bit lighter in the palette, and right here it's kind of looking like it's got some nice dry brushing up here as well that runs along the palette area. And you can also see some nice lighter greens right here, some darker greens in this general vicinity, almost like a blackish coloration in certain spots, and then it transitions to like a tan here in the underside on the lower jaw and everything. So incredibly nice paintwork all over the head sculpt of the Rex, but the actual sculpting and detailing is unbelievable. It is honestly mind-blowing how much detail is included in the head sculpt of this Rex. So many cool little osteoderms and stuff all over the place. You can also see some nice ridges that run up along the eye socket area, as well as along the back of the head sculpt, and then down here along the upper side of the palette and everything. The ridge of the palette looks really nice. Again, you can pick up on some nice osteoderms here and there, and just again, the scales, if we can focus here, are incredible. So many varying sizes of scales. It is honestly beautiful, and you can see a really nice darker coloration there around the eye socket to really elaborate that area, but also just in general looking like the Rex does in the Lost World. And you can see some nice black stripes that run down along the head sculpt right there. and again some more black that kind of comes up from the bottom of the upper jaw. Once we actually open the mouth, you can see how incredible those teeth look. They genuinely look like real Tyrannosaurus teeth. They also genuinely look like real Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus teeth, but they really look like actual real living animals' teeth. They have a beautiful, almost like a translucent color to them, and I love that they're like a yellowish color, like an off-white in certain areas, but they just generally have like a very realistic tone of color to them, on top of having a beautiful shape and a really nice translucent look to them. They really look like animals' teeth, and this is one thing that I think Nanmu has excelled at for quite a while now, is providing just unbelievable amounts of realism as far as the inside of the mouths of their dinosaurs. You can see on the inside of the mouth a little bit there. The detailing in there is insane. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous looking sculpt work on the inside of the mouth, and you can also see the tongue is really, really beautifully sculpted, really nicely textured, and beautifully painted, honestly. There are actually some really nice colors used. The general tone for the tongue is very realistic, very nice choice on the part of Nanmu, but also the actual wash they've given there. And you can see that same wash on the inside here, like that skin flap of the inside of the mouth, brings all the detail out so nicely and so realistically. It is just absolutely ridiculous how beautiful the inside of the mouth of this Rex is, and you can of course see it shining and glistening in the light, as it does include a really nice, very realistic gloss coat to both the inside of the mouth, the tongue, and the teeth. So really nice, very realistic looking, and the articulated jaw actually works really smoothly. You can see it almost has like two different areas that you can open it to, but you can pretty much open it to wherever you would like, and it works really nicely. The eyes as well are extremely realistic. You can see the eyes almost have like they have a yellow coloration to begin with, but they almost have like some tones of color included in there. It's a little hard to get my camera to actually focus on them, but you can see how beautiful that eye looks. Very realistic, very nicely glossed once again, and both eyes have that same really beautiful, very realistic appearance to them. Very nicely colored eyes and very nicely glossed. If we look up here at the top of the head, you can take note to the nostrils there, but you can also see as we start to run back along the top of the head some really nice sculpt and detail as far as the scale work goes. And you can see almost like a greenish or like a brownish wash that's included on the top of the head, giving it so many different variations of color. Again, the paintwork is just unbelievable here. And as you start to hit the neck, you can now see that kind of like yellow striping pickup that is something that is a trademark of the male Rex from the Jurassic Park or Lost World Jurassic Park series. And you can see that that very smoothly runs along the entire back of the Rex, and it's very nicely applied, very naturally applied, looks extremely realistic, and I think the tone of yellow that they've used is also picture perfect for this dinosaur. As you start to lead down the neck, you can now see quite a few little osteoderms and stuff picking up here and there, but lots of really nice skin texture. You can see just in general lots of really nice creasing and folding in the skin all the way down into the throat area as well. There appears to be like a yellowish wash down here, and then kind of like a nice tannish coloration, and it meets beautifully and again transitions back and forth so realistically between all the different colors that you see here on the Rex. But the skin texture is unbelievable. As you move down the neck, there are so many creases and really nice skin folding going on. As we get down here into the shoulder, you can pick up on the shoulder blade a little bit there. Beautiful arm sculpt. As we lead down here into the arms, you can see that, again, the skin detail is just off the charts, especially right here in the chest region. And here's that really nice area of a Jurassic Park T-Rex. You always have to kind of look out for that because that's something that is very reminiscent of the Jurassic Park T-Rex, is this kind of like scaly design to the underside. So Nanmu absolutely nailed it as far as that goes. But the arms are really beautifully sculpted. You can see some nice muscle definition, and again, some really nice paintwork included. Beautifully painted nails on both hands. For sure, incredible work so far in every area of this Rex. The skin texture here in the stomach is also just unbelievable. You can see so much detail sculpted throughout the entire body, and you can see the skin kind of stretching as this leg is pulling back, kind of stretching that skin very realistically. And again, you can see so many different variations of washes included. You have like almost like a yellowish or a greenish wash down here on the underside, but then as you get up further up into the body, you get like a darker wash. It looks really, really cool. So much paint has been used in the male version. It is just absolutely beautiful. As you move down into the body, you can get some really nice sense of the muscle tone, muscle definition, and again, some more really nice coloration. You have like a blackish coloration here, then it transitions to a really nice green, then transitions to like a yellowish green, and then back to this tan. So it's exactly how I recall the Rex being colored in the film, so I think Nanmu has done a beautiful job. One thing I do notice, though, you can see the seam where the leg is connected, but I don't really think that actually takes away from the figure. I've seen quite a few people online who had received their Nanmu Rexes sort of complaining about the seam there on the leg, but honestly, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Here in person, it's almost not even really all that noticeable, and the overall beauty of the figure really shines away that very small amount of the seam that you can see. So some people might have an issue with it, but personally, my preference is I don't think it takes away from the figure at all. As we move down the leg, you can continue to see how incredible that skin detail is. You have a really nice, very bulging calf muscle here, some more beautiful scale work here on the front of the leg. As we move down into the foot, you can see the foot sculpt looks gorgeous as well, and I love that this foot is kind of lifting up off the ground, and one toe is actually up off the ground already. These toes are kind of like about to follow, and I really think that that's a very cool appearance. You don't really see that sort of positioning of like the foot right in mid-stride. Sometimes you'll see it with like all three toes sort of pressed down like this and the foot lifting up, but not actually seeing it with like one toe already lifted up off the ground. So I think that was really nicely done on the part of Nanmu, a very cool idea that they've gone with as far as the sculpt goes. Beautiful detailing even on the underside of the foot. Honestly, looks amazing. Very nicely painted nails. They are also given a gloss coat, and you can see they've kind of dry brushed like a light gray over top of the black, just to give them some color variation. Even over here you can see the dew claw, beautifully sculpted, beautifully painted. And then coming back up here into the tail, again, the skin texture is unbelievably nice in every area of this Rex. That is just super realistic sculpt work. Nanmu never fails to impress me with their sculpts and the amount of detail that they include in the sculpts. And again, you have like this blackish or like a dark green, the yellow stripes, and then a nice variation of green, and then a yellowish green, and then the tan underbelly here with a nice yellowish green wash and everything included. So beautifully painted, so very nicely sculpted. This Rex is honestly impressing me more than I think any JP Rex has in the past as far as both the sculpt and paint. Moving over here to this side of the body, you can see the ear sculpted out really nicely right there, and you can also see that the detail over here looks gorgeous as far as the kind of skin reacting to the body and everything, kind of some hanging skin in the throat there as well. As we move down into the body, you can continue to see that skin texture look absolutely amazing. As we get down here, some more skin kind of movement being shown with the movement of the arm and just the way the skin is reacting to the body right there moving. Very nice arm sculpt over here as well. Beautiful paintwork again all over the dinosaur. So many different tones of greens and blacks and yellows and everything, even tans. It's just unbelievably well painted. Very nice skin texture once again. You can kind of see like the skin reacting right here to the thigh pushing into the body really nicely, moving that skin in the stomach region. That looks extremely nice. And even the hip bone, the way the hip bone is kind of reacting to the movement of that leg is beautifully portrayed in the sculpt here of this Rex. Very nice muscle tone once again. Beautiful calf muscles. And again, look at the skin, with the way it's reacting sort of to the movement of the body. That is just unbelievably nice. Then coming down here into the foot, you have that very nice scoot-like appearance down the toes. That foot looks pretty much exactly how I recall a Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus foot looking. Very nicely painted nails once again, and you can even see quite a bit of paint variation in the feet. You can now see the dew claw over here on that side of the leg. You can come back up here into the body. You can now see the skin kind of stretching with the leg as that leg is pulling forward there, especially right here. Again, the skin stretching and just the detailing, those very minute details on this Rex are unbelievably well sculpted. As we move out the length of the tail, again, you can see how beautiful it looks, and it has a very nice, very realistic curve as far as I'm concerned. So the male Rex, this male painted version, because the actual males in the films have a little bit of a thicker neck. You don't really see that here. This is just kind of a repaint of the female version, but I felt like the colors on this one were so much more vibrant to actually show off the sculpt. This was probably the better choice, but I feel like the actual paint application of this male Rex is off the charts and definitely the best painted male Rex that I can recall from anybody so far as what I've seen in hand. This is an unbelievably beautiful male Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. And now as far as the female goes, and I'm really excited about the female because I feel like this one is more modeled after the Lost World Jurassic Park female Tyrannosaurus Rex, who seems to continuously get overlooked over Roberta or Rexy or whatever you want to call the actual Jurassic Park female Tyrannosaurus. So the actual Lost World one always seems to get overlooked, and you don't really see people make figures or anything of it. But Nanmu here has, and I really feel like that's exactly who they were trying to portray with this one, because like specifically certain areas like kind of the stripes that run down here, I think look more reminiscent of the female from the Lost World as opposed to the Jurassic Park version. And in general, I think the coloration is very nicely reminiscent of the Lost World version as opposed to the Jurassic Park version. So I am super excited to have a female version of the Lost World Jurassic Park version, not Roberta. So we have plenty of Robertas or Rexys already out there. It's nice to see this version get a figure for once. But just like the male version, we have some really nice coloration up here on the head sculpt. Beautiful browns, many different variations of browns. You can just generally see so many different variations of color showing up everywhere all over this figure. Really nice blacks and everything coming down. Beautiful painting there around the eye, darkening the eye area. And the sculpt looks beautiful on this one as well. They really have done a great job as far as applying the paint of these figures. This one as well has an articulated jaw. And once again, the teeth look extraordinarily nice. Very realistic with that kind of translucent look. And the way they shine in the light, they really look like real animals' teeth. You can see the inside of the mouth is painted again very beautifully, given a very nice wash, sculpted to perfection, beautiful tongue sculpt in there, and you can again see the entire inside of the mouth shining very realistically like it would if it were a real living animal. Same deal over here on this side. And one of the things that I think is the most exciting about this female version, if you can look at the eyes here, if we can focus, there's actually like quite a bit of variation with the eye. There's like a yellowish color, and then there's also like some reddish coloration in there as well, and then the black pupil. So the eyes look extremely realistic on this Rex. You can see just how beautiful they are. I assume they're probably applied with a decal or something, and I think it's a great choice on the part of Nanmu to do it that way because, again, they look extremely realistic. Some more really nice paintwork. You can see quite a bit of variations of like blacks and browns and everything up here on the top of the Rex. As we lead down the body, we now have like a very nice black striping with like a light brown in between, very similar again to what we see in the Lost World Jurassic Park, and you can really nicely see how beautiful the actual sculpt is on this one too. I didn't expect the sculpt to show up so nicely here on camera, but it really does. So ultimately, I think I could have looked at either the male or female version to really show off the sculpt, and both would have shown that off perfectly. And again, you could see so many variations of color, like just in the stomach, you could see so much variations of brown, even like reddish browns in certain areas, and there's also like almost like a greenish tint to the Rex in certain spots as well. It is unbelievable how much paint application Nanmu has applied to this figure. I think that this may be the best painted figure from Nanmu so far, and that's really saying something because they have applied their paint perfectly to almost every figure in the past, and I've always been continuously extremely impressed by the detail in their paintwork and just in general the high quality look of their figures in the past, but this is just unbelievably nicely done. You can see like a nice dry brushing here in the tail with a black as well. Again, really nicely, and you can see like variations of brown, just like with the male. You have like a blackish coloration here, or like a very dark brown, then a lighter brown, and then a little bit lighter, and then we go to like a tan coloration, almost like a yellowish brown in certain spots. Pretty much very similar to the male, but again, in the female, brownish coloration. Really nice sculpt work here on the underside. Of course, this female Rex and the male Rex are the exact same sculpt, just different paint jobs. You can see how incredibly nice looking that foot sculpt is, and we've kind of dry brushed like some light gray over top of those scoots to bring the detail out really nicely. Same deal with the toes, just like we had seen on the male version. It's like a black with a light dry brushing of like a white or a gray over top. And then we come out here, we can take a look at the rest of the tail. The tail also looks beyond beautiful. And then looking at the opposing side, I like how the coloration here on the head is like a really light kind of linen type of a color mixed with the browns and everything in between, but it lightens the head up really beautifully to pretty much elaborate the head and differentiate the head from the rest of the body, and I think it looks extremely nice the way they've painted that. And again, as we move back into the neck, you can pick up on so many different variations of color throughout the entire figure. And I also just kind of noticed that you can actually pick up on the rib cage there as well as I'm turning it, so you can really beautifully see like the bone structure of the Tyrannosaurus within the sculpt. Man, this thing is just unbelievable as far as the paintwork goes, just like the male. And again, you can really kind of pick up on that kind of like a greenish tint in certain areas, right there in the thigh. As we move out the length of the tail looks beautiful once again. Very nicely painted. The female is just as beautiful, if not even maybe a little better than the male version, but both are absolutely fantastic. And then you have our clear version, and of course you're not going to have any actual paint application with the clear version, but you can see that as far as having a clear Tyrannosaurus, like a translucent Tyrannosaurus Rex, this is really, really cool. Beautifully articulated jaw, so the figure is exactly the same as the previous figures, and just now with a completely translucent look. You can actually see my hand kind of behind the head of the Rex, so it's really hard to pick up on the actual detailing of the figure, but it's so cool having that kind of translucent looking Tyrannosaurus, and that's a really cool addition to my collection just to have this clear version. And I think this is still kind of something you can get for free, actually. If you order the 2 Rex figures that we just looked at from Dan's Dinosaurs, you kind of get this clear version for free with it, so you get 3 Tyrannosaurus figures for one price, and that is amazing. And this one comes with a plastic stand, which I don't think I'm going to actually take off because I really don't see a point in doing that. But you can see that overall, having that translucent look, it is extremely, extremely cool looking. The body in general is a bit darker down here, of like a darker blue, and then it lightens up here in the head and lightens out here on the tail. But that's probably just due to the tail and the head being a lot thinner. And then, of course, we have the body here is a lot thicker, so it's a little hard to actually see through it. But having the addition of a translucent version is an absolutely awesome extra from the Nanmu line, and again, something you can receive if you order these from Dan's Dinosaurs. You can get this very cool, clear, translucent version as well. So 3 Tyrannosaurus Rex figures, 3 beautiful Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus figures for one good price. And then the Owen looks to be sculpted again beautifully like everything from Nanmu is, but it's really hard to tell with the human figures just how good they are as far as the sculpt work goes, unless you actually probably put some paint on them. And I think with some paint, this would look very realistic, beautiful for sure, but just unfortunately you can't really see it too well with the very bright white coloration that these figures do come in. If we actually take out the clear version here and take a look at that, maybe we'll be able to see the details a little bit better. Sorta, not really so much, but having a clear, a translucent version of the human figure as well as that regular version of the human figure is just another really cool little extra as far as these figures go. The overall sculpting of Owen does look absolutely beautiful and pretty much perfect to that moment where he's kind of trying to keep his raptors under control. So really, really cool extra again with the human figure here with Nanmu. As far as a size goes with our Tyrannosaurus Rex, for a length, you are looking at about the 15 3/4 inches range, or about 40 centimeters in length. And then for a height to the top of the head of the Rex, a little over 7 inches, or around the 18 centimeter range, somewhere about that point. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our Nanmu Tyrannosaurus Rex. And you have a pretty good idea, I think, looking at them, that as far as like the head sculpt of the Papo Rex, it feels like it matches up pretty well to the Nanmu version. Maybe not perfectly, it might be a little bit smaller, but I feel like they're pretty, yeah, definitely a little smaller, but they definitely look really cool together. They look kind of like a group or a family of Tyrannosaurs that definitely belong together, but you can see that the Nanmu one is quite a bit larger for sure. And for another size comparison, there is the Rebor Tyrannosaurus next to the Nanmu version, and you can definitely see that the Nanmu version is quite a bit taller, although the Rebor version is also kind of crouching quite a bit, but you can definitely see that in general, the Nanmu version does seem a good bit bigger than the Rebor version. And then for a final size comparison, we also have the Nanmu Berserker Rex, the Indominus, next to our female Tyrannosaurus Rex back here hopefully giving you a pretty cool idea of what the two of them look like together, and also a pretty good size comparison of the two right here in front of you. So again, showing you that this Rex is definitely a pretty sizable figure for sure. Another thing that I think a lot of people were worried about, and it's mostly due to like the Rebor version kind of having some standing issues, was the stability of these figures. And even with the feet kind of up off the ground, I can say that they actually balance out pretty darn well. They don't seem like they're going to have any standing issues whatsoever, and the balance of them seems to be really beautifully done. Both stand perfectly for me, as you can see. So really nicely done again on the part of Nanmu, even including a really nice balancing for their figure. Not having a base or anything to help it stand, they have beautifully mastered the ability of these Rex figures here to stand. So all three of these Tyrannosaurus figures from Nanmu are absolutely awesome. Of course, the clear version is probably the weakest of the bunch, just due to the fact that there's no real color, but the fact that there is that very cool translucent appearance to it, and just in general having like a clear see-through Tyrannosaurus Rex figure is just really cool to me, and I was extremely happy to get a hold of that one as well. And just super exciting to have that in my collection. And it's just really cool looking, honestly. There's not really too much more you can say about it. You can't really give it props for having wonderful paint or really crazy cool of an appearance or a design or anything to like the paint scheme. It's just a really cool addition to this set. If you want that little extra, you can have that awesome sort of see-through translucent Rex by ordering again at Dan's Dinosaurs. You get all three of these. But then if we move to the actual painted Tyrannosaurs, that male version is gorgeous as far as the paintwork goes. Again, we've had quite a few male versions of the Tyrannosaurus in the past, but this is definitely my favorite so far from any company as far as the paintwork goes. I feel like they absolutely knocked it out of the park as far as the paint on this Rex. It is beautiful looking in every area. So many different variations of color, so many different tones of color included, and they've pretty much matched up the coloration perfectly to the Lost World Jurassic Park male Tyrannosaurus Rex as far as I'm concerned. The only slight downside to the male version is the fact that the throat isn't resculpted and the head isn't kind of resculpted to more resemble that bull Tyrannosaurus Rex. But they kind of just released two different paint variants of each figure. So I am in general excited to have a male and female version here of the Nanmu Rex, and maybe at some point in the future Nanmu will resculpt it and kind of give us that male bulkier version in the neck, and I'll be super excited about that one as well. But as far as this goes, even not having that resculpt in the neck and the head area, I think it is just gorgeous beyond belief, and definitely one of, if not the best male Tyrannosaurus Rex figures that we have ever seen as far as a Jurassic Park style version goes when it comes to the paint. And the sculpt, of course, is beautiful, absolutely incredible as far as the fine detailing and the minute detailing. All three of these, again being the same sculpt but different paintwork, is just unbelievable as far as the scales and everything, and the skin reacting to the movement of the body, just everything as far as even the tiniest little details on these Rex figures. It is just so beautifully portrayed in the sculpt, and Nanmu just should be completely commended for just the sheer amount of work put into the detailing of these figures. The female as well, as far as the paintwork goes, is beautiful. I love all the different tones of color they've used on the figure, and again, they all have very realistic tones of color, and they all transition back and forth in very realistic fashion between each different coloration so smoothly and so beautifully, so realistically. The paintwork, again, is the thing I'm most impressed about. The sculpts are off the charts, but the paintwork has just truly blown me away, and the combination of both together is just pretty much a work of art as far as I'm concerned with these Tyrannosaurus figures. So if you are in the market for a very beautiful Jurassic Park style Tyrannosaurus Rex figure, I honestly think you would have a very hard time finding any better than this. So I will include a link in the description to where you can pick these up on Dan's Dinosaurs. So make sure you head down there, follow that link over to Dan's Dinosaurs, and place an order for either one, or you can get all three. Again, if you order both the male and female, you do get that clear version for free. So make sure you take advantage of that. Head over to Dan's Dinosaurs and pick up all three of these very nice JP style Tyrannosaurus Rex figures. And also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.